Welcome to another episode of the Ball Knowers Podcast. This is the third ever episode here on the channel. As usual, to my right, that is today's Savant page of the day. Go ahead, guess who that is. Today it is a hitter, and if you guess who it is, you get to be the ball knower of the day. It's really not much of an award, but you just have another reason to say you know ball. Over here to my left, this way, that is my personal Twitter, _24kin, and the Ball Knowers Anonymous Twitter, @BallKnowersAnon. If you guys enjoy this podcast, if you guys enjoy the discourse so far, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, share it, all the basic YouTube jargon, which, look, I want to build a community of ball knowers. That's all I'm here to do, right? Today's going to be really simple. The agenda is short. Not a lot has gone on over the past week or so, but enough has gone on for me to sit here and ramble for at least 30 minutes or so. It's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode, but I still think we can have some fun with it. The first thing we're going to talk about is Gleyber Torres. He signed with the Tigers, 1 year, $15 million deal. Oh, there's a lot I can talk about when it comes to Gleyber Torres. This is my favorite player. He is right there. Right there. He's my favorite player. I started watching baseball a lot in 2019, really. I've always enjoyed baseball growing up. When I was 13, 14 years old, I always enjoyed it, watched it a little bit, but I never really got deep into baseball until about 2019. And I started watching the Yankees, and I watched this dude named Gleyber Torres. He's just awesome. He was just fun. He had so much energy that the Yankees always lack. He just had this energy about him that everyone else on the team didn't have. Most Yankee players, whether they're really good, really bad, somewhere in between, they're all just kind of cookie cutter. Hey, I play baseball. We're just baseball players. But Gleyber Torres was never that. He was always a little bit more of a personality, whether you loved him or hated him. There was always more to Gleyber Torres than the average Yankee player. And I think that's why I think that's why I gravitated towards this dude and had so much fun watching him over the past 6 years. So we're going to talk a lot about him. I'm very biased in what I say about Gleyber Torres, but as usual, we are trying to be ball knowers here, so I will be biased in a factual way, if that makes sense. Gleyber's going to be a heavy topic of conversation. Back to the agenda. Number 2, what do you want to talk about? Or to keep it simple, your guys' questions. Now, there's not a lot of questions, so I'm going to encapsulate what do you want to talk about into some things I've posted on Twitter and some responses I've gotten to those tweets. For example, I posted a poll about, were the 2024 Yankees a good defensive team? We got some good votes on here. We got 36 votes on it that we will talk about. We got some responses, like I said. And the third thing, ball knowing is education. Now, I don't mean to say I'm educating you because I am a self-proclaimed ball knower. No, that's not what I mean. Ball knowing is education in a sense that when you and I are talking to each other, hold up, this got to be smooth. Ball knowing is education in a sense to where if you and I are talking to each other, if we're going back and forth on a debate, we should be learning from each other. You should be able to say something to me, and I should be able to go, okay, damn, I didn't know that. Oh, how do you use that stat to prove this point, or how do you know what I mean? We should all be learning something, and then vice versa. If I'm saying something to you, you should be able to go, oh shoot, I didn't know that. And we should all be able to learn something from each other instead of, I'll get to it when I get there. That's the third topic of the day. That's where we're going to end our day. But starting off with Gleyber Torres, yeah, he's a Detroit Tiger now. I don't love it. Obviously, I don't love it at all. Like I said, this is my favorite player. But I mean, I understand. I understand from a sense that the Yankees clearly want to get better defensively. They clearly want to get maybe a little faster, maybe a little bit better on the base paths. So in that sense, okay, I get it. Now, where I don't get it is you have a guy who's been on the Yankees since 2018. He has been a top 10 second baseman his entire career in the league. He wants to play for the Yankees. He always shows up in the postseason, nearly an 800 OPS in the playoffs. And yet you just don't want him. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. You have a good player who performs when it matters, who wants to be on your team, and you just don't want him. It does not make sense. I will never. I'm sorry. It will never make sense to me. Here's the graphic. Gleyber, welcome to Detroit. Oh wow, this is all messed up. I forgot I'm zoomed in on my web browser. Whatever. You get the. I didn't even have to show that. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about Gleyber Torres. And look, here's the thing. To all the people that say like, oh, he's lazy, oh, he's a bonehead, oh, he's mental this, or didn't hustle this. God, no matter how you put it, he's a top 10 second baseman in the league. And then, I've had a few people say, okay, well, Gleyber's only a top 10 second baseman in the league because the second base position isn't that good. Well, if the second base position isn't that good and you have one of the good ones, doesn't that increase his value? Or am I looking at it the wrong way? You have a position that's clearly very weak, not a ton of talent there, but you have one of the talented players. Shouldn't that increase his value? No? Okay. Then there's also the people that did everything in their power to, wrong thing, try to deny Gleyber Torres being a top 10 second baseman. This is just since 2022. And now the reason I put since 2022 in this tweet, also follow me, _24kin, there you go, right there. The reason I put since 2022 in this tweet is because if I were to put 2018, 2019 stats, I'd have people replying going, oh, you're using stuff from this old. You're using stuff from. He's not that player anymore. Okay, cool. Here's the past 3 years. 7.9 FWAR is 8th. 113 WRC plus is 7th. 20.4 offensive value is 10th. The on base percentage is 8th. The slugging is 9th. The walk percentage is 9th. The 64 home runs is 4th. This is a good player, man. Now, if the Yankees lose Gleyber Torres and they go and sign somebody to replace him as a second baseman for the Yankees, that I'm okay with. Like if they, just for an example, if they sign Ha-Seong Kim, okay, great. You are getting better at second base. Kim's a better base runner, better defender, slightly worse hitter, but overall in terms of WAR, he is a better player. But to the people that think just getting rid of Gleyber Torres makes the Yankees a better team, you're wrong. You are 100% wrong. You're telling me you think DJ LeMahieu, Oswaldo Cabrera, and Oswald Peraza are giving you better production than Gleyber Torres? Can you say that without feeling like you're lying? Can you actually say that without a stupid smirk on your face because you know you're lying? I'm sorry, but it's just not true. You're not getting better production out of any of those three. So my big issue right now is that you let Gleyber Torres go and you don't have a real replacement at second base. If that changes, I'll be a little less upset, but obviously still going to be a little sad. That's my favorite player. Now, one of the issues I'll have is some of the responses I've gotten, and I wanted to find one. Okay. When you add in defensive base running, he's probably not top 10 anymore. That's wrong. Because if we go and look at second baseman, if we look at WAR, right, where does Gleyber Torres finish in terms of WAR? Now, people hate WAR as a stat. Why? Because they don't understand it probably. But if you look at something like WAR, which encapsulates everything. It encapsulates offensive value, defensive value, base running value. It puts all of these things into account and gives you one number. That's exactly what you want, isn't it? Because I'll post, this is going to be we're going to talk too much about Gleyber in this episode. It's going to piss people off. But that's exactly what you want, isn't it? You want to factor in offense, defense, and base running, and then decide if he's still top 10. That's what you want, right? Because I've had too many people respond to me saying like, oh, factor in the defense now. Oh, factor in his base running. Oh, look, he's not top 10 anymore. Okay, last year he was 12th in WAR. Was that not top 10? Sure, it's not top 10. 2023, he was 8th in WAR. You can't see it. 8th in WAR at a 3.4. 2022, I believe the number is 6. Yes, he was 6th in WAR with a 3.4. So his average finish over the past 3 years is about 8th or 9th in the league. WAR encapsulates everything, people. Look, that's what I need. That's what we need people to understand. Is WAR the end-all, be-all? No, of course not. But if you want something, if you want a number, if you want a stat that puts everything together into one number, WAR is the stat you're looking for. Bars, unintentionally rhyming. But I don't see how you can argue in any way, shape, or form this is not a top 10 second baseman. It's not possible for me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. And there's also the people who are like, oh, why did nobody want to sign him? Why was his best deal 1 year, $15 million with the Tigers? Well, it wasn't. Gleyber came out and said he had 4 or 5 year offers. But I think I'll end it there. Just on the Gleyber Torres talk, I think I will. I think I'll end it there because I could probably do a full 30 minutes on Gleyber Torres discourse and all the back and forths I've had over the past few days or so. He's gonna be great in Detroit. In 15 games, he has 1,000 OPS in Detroit. I know that's not a big sample size, but clearly it's somewhere that he likes to hit. It's somewhere that he has hit great in his career. So I hope he goes out there and has a second prove-it season, has a second, walk year for the ages, and then gets the money he deserves next season, or the season after, I will say, because he deserves it. He's given you 6 years of great production, and that's another thing I don't understand. Like, there's other Yankees who have done far less for the team than Gleyber Torres have that get tons and tons more love. I'm looking at DJ LeMahieu. I'm looking at Anthony Rizzo. Guys that had maybe a year and a half, 2 good years of being Yankees and have stunk otherwise. Get way more praise than a guy like Gleyber Torres, who has been an above-average player since 2018. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about Gleyber though. I'm gonna move on to something else. I wanted to talk about Ha-Seong Kim because he would make the Yankees a better team. I would be very, very, very happy if the Yankees picked up Ha-Seong Kim. Now, he's not going to barrel the baseball. He's not going to tear the cover off the ball by any means. But what will he do? Well, he'll hit the ball in the air. He'll keep it off the ground. And that's something here at Ball Knowers Anonymous that we love seeing. Ball in air. No ground balls, please. He's going to draw his walks. 12.3 walk percentage last season. That's beautiful. Even the K percentage, 16.4. He doesn't strike out much. So he's good at not chasing. He's good at not whiffing. He's good at not striking out. And he's good at drawing walks. And he's one of the best defenders at second base in the entire league. So if the Yankees are trying to get better at base running and defending, this is the perfect target. And there's really no debate about it. This is the perfect target. The only concern, sorry, I just had some technical difficulties there. I'll edit that out real quick. So the biggest concern I have about Ha-Seong Kim is he just doesn't swing at pitches in the zone. This 55.2% zone swing percentage is second lowest in the league for players with at least 400 at bat or 400 plate appearance. My mistake. And obviously, if you're bringing Ha-Seong Kim into the Yankees, you're probably bringing him in to be a leadoff man. And if he's going to lead off in front of Aaron Judge, he's going to get a ton of pitches to hit. They're not going to want to walk him. Obviously, it's Judge hitting right behind him. So he's going to get a ton of pitches to hit. So I would like to see this zone swing percentage. I'd like to see him either get more aggressive or find a way to do more damage when he is swinging. That's really my biggest concern. Is that right there. But when he does swing in the zone, he does make contact at an above average rate, 86.4%. That's always good. But yeah, that's something I would like to see improve just a little bit. My biggest concern with Ha-Seong Kim. But like I said, if the Yankees do pick him up, that's incredible. That's great. What will piss me off more than anything else is if I'm watching DJ Oswaldo or Oswaldo get real, significant at-bats next season. Okay, which is the next part of my agenda. What do you want to talk about? Okay, like I said, today what do you want to talk about is going to consist of a couple different things. One is going to be questions that you guys gave me under my tweet, and the other is going to be or under the Ball Knowers and On, what do you want to talk about tweet. And then the other thing is going to be about, just like I said, a few things that or really just one big thing that I've posted over the past week or so, talking about the Yankee defense. Because I think that the Yankees defense from a season ago is really a polarizing subject. So we will get to that. But first, I wanted to get to... there was one really good question, and actually something I wanted to talk about today. And once again, comes from our guy Nick. Nick is always great at giving me something to talk about on these podcasts. So here we go. We will switch over to this screen. Do you give credit to the idea that second base is Jazz's natural position? I personally don't think it matters at all, and it's arguably untrue. He has played more career games in the majors as a center fielder. We all know he won't be playing there a lot, than as a second baseman, and came to the majors as a shortstop. So I guess the original question is, do I give credit to the idea that second base is Jazz's natural position? I'm going to say no. I don't think it matters whatsoever. Jazz Chisholm he's a freak defensively, right? He's one of those guys you can place anywhere and he's going to do it well, right? So let's actually pull up Jazz Chisholm in his Savant page real quick, and then we will take a look at his fielding numbers, because he is a good fielder. So we'll pull him up. Let's see. Fielding run value from this past season was 6. But let's look at third base in particular. So at third base as a Yankee, had 8 outs above average. That's incredible. It's really, really, really good for someone who is not even a like you said natural third baseman. And something that I always find cool to look at, 66% success rate. And he had it on a... Okay, let's see if I can figure out how to talk. The estimated success rate on his plays were 62%, but his success rate was 66%. So he had a 4% success rate added, which is always fun. Always love to see that. But yeah, the whole thing that there's a lot of people on Twitter that'll be like, oh, we need to move Jazz back to second base, or we need Jazz to play this position. We don't need Jazz to play anywhere. Just put him somewhere, and he'll be good at it. That makes sense? Just play him. Just put him in the field. He'll do a good job. What the Yankees need to do is go sign the best possible player they can, or go trade for the best possible player they can, and just figure out where to put Jazz. That makes sense, right? Whether you go acquire a great third baseman or you go acquire a great second baseman, it does not matter. You have the luxury of a really, really, really good defender in Jazz Chisholm at either of those two spots. So just go pick up the best player you can and put Jazz where you need him. Does that answer your question? I think it does. I think it answers your question. But yeah, so that's one of the things there. What do you want to talk about? There's only one question. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about here, if I can't get this pulled up real quick, why did it go away? Okay, so I posted on Twitter. Wrong thing. I keep clicking the wrong shit. I posted on Twitter. Were the 2024 Yankees a good defensive team? There's got 36 votes. Yes got 20%. No got almost 28%. And somewhere in between got a little over half the votes. I think this is the correct vote. And I wanted to go over some of the things people said here. First from @DuffySports. So he said the Yankee infield defense was okay. It was good behind the plate and at short, so the OAA numbers don't look that bad. They were particularly bad at the corners last year at moving towards the lines and coming in on balls. At third base and first, they had positive OAA working toward the middle of the field, but negative working towards the line and coming in towards the plate. Part of the reason Clay Holmes' BABIP on weak ground balls was so astronomically high last year, by the way. Now this, I responded to him, this is good stuff. This is a really good response. And this will tie into the later topic here at the end of this podcast. This is good baseball discourse. This is what I mean when I say ball knowing is education. Because I didn't know all this stuff, right? I could tell you where the Yankees stood in terms of OAA numbers and, runs prevented and defensive runs saved and stuff like that, but I couldn't tell you how good they were moving left, right, moving in. You know what I mean? This is good discourse. This teaches us things about baseball. This is how we get better at talking ball. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna respond to what Mr. at Duffy Sports said, but that's a really good response. I just hit my mic. At Drew Klug said somewhere between, because they had a lot of great defenders and a lot of poor defenders. Judge, Soto, and Torres were all pretty poor defenders in 2024, but we also had Volpe, Jazz, and Wells playing great defense at premium positions, hence average. Good. That's a perfectly fine answer. And then Lawn Seat Enjoyer. I don't have the actual numbers in front of me, but there's just no way that a bad defensive team can make it to the World Series. They had bad defensive moments and unfortunately at critical times, but overall it was solid. I agree with that one 100% as well. Now, I'm on the side of the 2024 Yankees were a pretty good defensive team. And the reason being, which let's just go ahead and pull it up real quick. Let's look at fielding numbers from a season ago. I'm going to use Fangraphs for this just because it's the easiest spot for me to find everything. Where is... Okay, team stats. Let's see. Got the team stats pulled up here. We don't look at things like fielding percentage. That's stupid. What are we going to look at? Well, first of all, we're going to go to advanced numbers because that's just what you should be doing. Look at outs above average. In terms of outs above average, the Yankees had 9. This puts them in 10th place overall. In terms of, where is it? Defensive runs saved. Yankees had 31. This puts them in 12th place overall. In terms of UZR per 150, ultimate zone rating, this is another thing. That is another thing that kind of just encapsulates everything in a way. I need to get better at learning how to describe things to people, but ultimate zone rating is a good stat to use. Yankees were 7th in UZR per 150, and that is at 2.5. Look at something like their framing. Yankees were second best in the league at framing pitches. And then we go over to defensive value. Yankees were 10th best in the league in defensive value. So I lean more on the side that the 2024 Yankees were a good defensive team. Now, why am I so passionate about this subject? This is stupid. Well, because if you look at the things they're doing, what the Yankees want to get better at, it's very clear with their moves they want to get better defensively, right? You could have acquired Teoscar Hernandez. You could have brought Gleyber Torres back. You could have acquired... I just blanked. You could have acquired Anthony Santander and tried to find a place to put him in the lineup to try to rebuild this offense. I'm not saying they should have got any of these guys. I want to make that clear. But this is just examples. You could have done everything you can to rebuild this lineup so that it's still a top 4 or 5 unit in the league, so that it's a top 4 or 5 lineup at producing runs in the league. But instead you sacrifice some offense to pick up a guy like Cody Bellinger, who's going to be pretty good out there in the outfield. You sacrifice some offense to get rid of Gleyber Torres, to have someone else come in and be a better defender and better base runner. So you didn't go after... You get what I'm saying. I should have been more prepared in this part of this. But you sacrifice these big thumpers for better defense. You're already a good defensive team. You are already good at this stuff. So I have this issue with what the Yankees are doing so far this offseason, because I'm not sure really how good this offense is going to be. They do have very solid projections. As of right now, nobody in the lineup is projected to be under a 100 WRC plus, except maybe like if Oswaldo Cabrera is your starter, he would be under 100. Obviously, projections aren't always correct. They're usually pretty good, though. But yeah, that's like the biggest issue I have is I think people look too much at a 5-game sample size. And unfortunately, it is the worst 5 games of the year, talking about the World Series. The worst 5 games of the year where there was some poor defensive play, poor fundamentals, as people like to say. Oh, they're really bad fundamentally, and then they'll have absolutely no number or statistic to back it up. But they'll look at this 5-game sample size and say, oh, the Yankees need to fix this, this, and this. And that is what the Yankees are trying to do. But when you look over a full 162-game sample size, this Yankees team was really good defensively. Really, really good. So yeah, that's why I posted this, because I wanted to see where people stood in terms of how good are the Yankees defensively, or how good were they. I do think the perfect answer is somewhere in between, though, because these people are right. The outfield defense, not very good. Aaron Judge is not a good center fielder. Juan Soto stinks at defense, and Alex Verdugo, he's okay, right? But he's not. You're not gonna look at Alex Verdugo and be like, yes, that's what I need in my never. But he's fine. Now on the infield, Jazz Chisholm was great. Anthony Volpe was great. Then on the right side of the infield, Torres and Rizzo, not so great. Behind the plate, 2 studs with Trevino and Wells. So yeah, I do think the perfect answer is that third vote somewhere in between. But I think if you're just going to flat out say no, they were a bad defensive team in 2024, you're wrong. And your eye test sucks, and you have faulty memory. No, that's a little harsh, but With that being said, that's going to bring us into the third topic today, and that is ball knowing is education. Like I said earlier, this isn't about me being a self-proclaimed ball knower, me saying I'm educating you. No, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. I'm saying we need to stop doing the whole, do you even watch the games? I watch all the games. I watch the games. I saw what happened. We need to stop that shit. That's not real ball talk. That's nothing. Let's be real. You have emotional memory. Your eye test is not good. Does that mean? Maybe. But these statistics don't back your eye test. Nine times out of 10. Now, obviously, sometimes people are right. Like, for example, if someone says, hey, Gleyber Torres isn't a good defender. Okay, sure, fine. I'm not going to deny that. But my issue is if someone says, oh, Gleyber Torres is lazy, Gleyber Torres is a bonehead. I'm using Gleyber because he's a really good example for this type of thing. Gleyber Torres is lazy. Gleyber Torres is a bonehead. He's no baseball IQ. Okay, what numbers say that? What says that? Prove it. Or did you watch the games? Yes, prove it. And this goes with everything. I want baseball discourse to improve. And I don't know how, but I want to start a movement in improving baseball discourse. Maybe that's what I'm trying to do with Ball Knowers Anonymous. I'm not sure. But we need to stop with statements that have no quantifiable value, no statistical value, no analysis behind them. Any statement that's just, like, I watched this happen. Okay, cool. The numbers say you probably didn't watch that happen. Does that make sense? I want to improve baseball discourse to a way where ball knowing is education, to where if 2 people are having a discussion, they leave that discussion having learned something new, right? Every time, and I'm going to name drop. I think this is the 3rd time I'm name dropping dude on this podcast. Not this particular episode, but just in general. Every time I talk to Ryan Garcia about something baseball related, he shows me another stat, and I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? And he tells me what it means. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I just learned something new. That's great. I want baseball discourse to be more like that, right? Where we're talking to each other and we leave these conversations like, I didn't know that before. Now I'm going to start looking at that. I didn't know how to look at pulled fly balls until I think 2-3 weeks ago. There's a stat for that. I used to look at pull percentage and fly ball percentage and assume you could put them together and it made sense. I used to do that. But there is a stat for pull fly ball, like specifically pulled fly balls. Isn't that sick? That's awesome. I didn't know that. Someone taught me that. Ball knowing is education. That person knows ball. But yeah, this is a little bit shorter of an episode. Like I said, not a lot has happened over the past week or so. But I think that's where we're gonna end this thing. A little over 30 minutes today. Not really too much going on. I kind of just ranted a lot, but hopefully it made for some at least a little bit entertaining listening or an entertaining watch. I'm passionate over here, man. I'm passionate. Let's get better at talking about baseball. Let's improve our baseball discourse. Ball knowing is education. I'm out.